Adding a brake booster to a car that has manual brakes, it's hard to believe that this little master cylinder, without any power assistance, can stop this big car. I'm here in a Cutlass Supreme convertible, and my problem today is my brakes. When I put a lot of pressure on the brakes, it goes forward. Obviously, that's dangerous. In any type of panic situation, stopping on the brakes would cause me to lose my brakes. I've always wanted to have power assisted brakes on this car, so now I have a good reason to add it. Finding a remanufactured master cylinder and a compatible brake booster is very easy. This hose, unfortunately, was the wrong size. I got sent back. A special tool that I needed was the brake line flaring tool. I needed that to connect the hose lines, the brake hose lines, to the master cylinder. So the project is to install this new remanufactured brake cylinder and booster. And in the car, here's the old master cylinder. There are two bolts that hold it on. So I undid those two bolts and the fittings to the brake hose line, and it came right out. There is a piston that connects to the brake pedal on the other side. So I had to undo that. Here is the firewall without the master cylinder. Here are the two top bolts that held the master cylinder on, and I was able to undo the bottom bolts. The new power booster will go there, brake booster will go there. And inside, there's the clevis pin, and here's the black clip that held it from falling out. I used a screwdriver to pry it upon the edge and was able to undo the clip and remove it so I could free up the clevis. And there's the bottom hole for the new clevis. So here, for lack of a better way, I would call this the piston, which was from the manual system. And at the bottom, here's the clevis. Here's the new clevis. I tried to replicate the distance with the power booster, brake booster. However, the architecture is different. In the manual system, on the brake pedal, there are two holes. The piston uses the upper hole, that is for a manual system. This clevis goes into the upper hole on the brake pedal. However, for the power system, the power assisted brakes, the lower hole is used, and I had to lengthen the clevis to get to the right brake pedal length. Prior to taking out the master cylinder, I measured the distance from the brake pedal to the floor, and it was 6¼ inches. That is 6¼ inches, and I configured this so that the power booster would have 6¼ inches. So here is the new brake booster installed. The back line for the back brake line fit quite well, but the front one was short. I wanted to replace it, but the fitting at the proportion valve below, I couldn't get a wrench on it. So I ended up cutting off the fitting up top using a flaring set to add a flare. And there's the tube cutter, and this is the extension, and adding a flare on that end and using these fittings in a union, I was able to connect the old line to the master brake cylinder. And this is the final solution. There's a union, and I routed the flexible tubing up to the master cylinder. What's nice about this master cylinder is the bleeding screws here. I was able to open them up to bleed the air out of the cylinder and out of the top of the brake lines, and that worked quite well. I also bled the front tires, brakes to the front tires, to make sure there was no air there, and took it out for a spin to make sure that when I pressed the brakes very hard, that the car stopped in a straight line. Initially, it did not, mean that there was air in the lines, so I flushed it, or I bled the front brake lines again, and under a panic stop, the car stopped in a straight line. After this, I added the vacuum hose, and I used a standard hose barb, 1/4 size. This hole is right behind the carburetor, and the plug in it came out very easily. Basically used Teflon tape to wrap the threads of the new hose barb. And there it is, installed. And then I ran the vacuum line over to the brake booster, and with the engine running, it worked. The brake booster worked quite well. We installed the air cleaner, the air filter and its housing, and the car was ready to go. So here again are the parts that I used. The job took about 5 hours. Best of luck on your projects, and feel free to leave comments below. Thanks for watching.